So you're thinking about moving to Central Oregon, but anywhere but Bend. There's Lapine, there's Prineville, there's Sisters, and of course there's Redmond. We talk about Redmond a lot. That's what we're going to be touching on today. Bend's little brother, Redmond. 15 miles to Bend. Redmond, Oregon is a fantastic place to live. Today's video is all about the 7 pros of moving to and living in Redmond, Oregon in 2024. So if this video sounds like it's for you, stick around. We're going to be getting after it right now. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living, eating, sleeping, working, playing, the good and the bad of living in Bend and surrounding Central Oregon, like Redmond, subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell below so you can be the first to know about the current market here in Central Oregon. My name's Ryan and I've lived in Bend for over 30 years. My business partner, Zach, and I, we get calls and texts every day from people just like you, looking for help on making their smooth move to Bend or anywhere else here in sunny, yes, still sunny in February, Central Oregon. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'd love to set up a time to meet with you and help you make that smooth move to Bend or anywhere else here in Central Oregon. So with that being said, today's video is all about the little brother of Bend, which is also known as Redmond, Oregon, still a bustling little town. In fact, it's growing at a faster pace than Bend, and we're going to be exploring why that is in today's video. So without further ado, let's just jump right in with pro number 1 of moving to and living in Redmond, Oregon in 2024. Redmond has all of the recreational opportunities that anywhere else in Central Oregon has. So pro number 1 of living and moving to Redmond, Oregon in 2024 is all about the outdoor recreation. Yes, Bend gets all the notoriety from a regional and national scene, but the reality is Redmond is right there. We're 15 miles away from Bend, just to the north. And in fact, some of the awesome and amazing outdoor recreational opportunities are actually closer to Redmond than they are in Bend, like Smith Rock State Park or Prineville Reservoir or Lake Billy Chinook, among the many other attractions. The road up to the Sandy Am Pass is a little bit closer to Redmond than it is in Bend, and that's where things like Mount Jefferson are, Mount Washington, Three Finger Jack, the Sandy Am, the Cascade Lakes Highway. I mean, that's up towards Mount Bachelor, but the reality is Redmond has all of the actual opportunities of outdoor recreating that Bend has. Of course, you can still go to Mount Bachelor, you can still go to Sun River, you can still go to the many places that Bend is known for, but the reality is it doesn't matter where you are in Central Oregon, you're here, right? So you're here in Central Oregon, you have all of the outdoor amenities at your disposal. So you can live in Redmond, or you can live in Bend, or you can live in Sisters or Prineville. It doesn't matter. You have so many different things to do. We've got multiple videos touching on all of the outdoor activities that not only Zach and I participate in, but the many that we don't even participate in, because there are so many different things to do, all just a few minutes away, sometimes maybe up to an hour away. We were just talking to a client who is looking into moving into the Redmond and Bend area, and partly due because of where they're located right now on the East Coast. They've got some outdoor activities that are there, but you have to drive 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours to get there. But here in Central Oregon, it's all just right here. Okay, golf is nearby, skiing's nearby, the lakes are nearby, the river's nearby, hiking's nearby. It's pretty fantastic. Redmond has the exact same opportunities that Bend is known for. So that's pro number 1. Redmond has all of the same outdoor activities available that Bend has. Pro number 2 of living in and moving to Redmond, Oregon in 2024. Well, the cost of living is significantly lower in Redmond than it is in Bend. And this actually piggybacks right onto pro number 1, the outdoor activities. Why is Bend so expensive? Okay, the median home price as of this recording is roughly $700,000 in Bend, whereas the median home price in Redmond right now, as of this recording, is about $500,000. A lot of people all come to this Central Oregon area, whether it's Bend or Redmond or somewhere else, for similar style reasons. They want to be able to work here while also having the outdoor amenities at their disposal. Why not choose Redmond over Bend? Literally, you have all the same outdoor activities at your disposal, but you could live in an area where the median home price is $500,000 versus the median home price at $700,000 or a little higher than $700,000. We had a great video that we did in Redmond, Southwest Redmond, a couple months ago, kind of highlighting the mountain views in Redmond, the homes in certain subdivisions that have fantastic mountain views. They were all under $1 million. The exact same mountain views that the same types of homes in Bend would have of the same Cascades. For roughly 1.2 to 1.5 million. So the difference is obviously it's very noticeable, but it's the exact same mountain range. It's the exact same sunsets going over the west, over the mountains to the west. I mean, it's literally the exact same thing. But what we have is a stark difference when it comes to the median price point of a home. And so that kind of trickles down to other areas of cost of living too in Redmond. So the cost of living is certainly a pro of living in Central Oregon in 2024. Yes, $500,000 is a significant amount of money, but it's certainly less than it is in Bend, and it's certainly more than certain other areas like Prineville or Madras or Lapine. But the reality is Redmond is a bustling small community right now that's growing at a very fast rate, and eventually it's going to have more of that city feel too. It's going to take several years for that. But right now, $500,000 versus $700,000, Bend versus Redmond, it's a significant discount when it comes to basically living in the exact same area. So that's pro number 2. Pro number 3 of moving to and living in Redmond, Oregon in 2024. It's proximity to Bend. I know, I'm throwing a curveball here, right? I just got done talking about how Redmond is the little brother of Bend. Well, little brothers need their big brothers, right? And Redmond and Bend are about 15 miles apart. So you can literally live in Redmond, have that small town vibe, slower pace of life. And then when you need to go to Bend, Costco or other types of shopping, or go to a different restaurant that otherwise is in Bend that's not offered in Redmond, or other types of events, it's just about a 15 to 20, 25 minute drive depending on traffic. It's right down the road. And so you have that at your disposal while also being able to live in that smaller town and that different style of culture. And that's what a lot of people are interested in when it comes to moving to Central Oregon. They're exploring the entire area. They know they want to be in this area, this region here, because of what it all encompasses, but where is the right fit for you? So for a lot of people that are moving from out of the area right now, Redmond is kind of the number one target because of its slow pace of life, its cost of living, the affordability of homes versus the homes in Bend. Yet Bend and Redmond are basically one and the same. We've got Highway 97 that connects the two, multiple lane highway that goes back and forth, and there are thousands of cars that go back and forth on a daily basis. So there are people that live in Bend and work in Redmond every single day, and vice versa. Live in Redmond, work in Bend. It's all interconnected, intertwined, but the reality is you can live in Redmond, have that vibe, have that culture, and then when you need Bend, you can go use the amenities of Bend, and it's not too far. It's not going to take half a day. It's just like a 20 to 30 minute drive. That's about it, and you're in the big city of Bend. So again, that's pro number 3. It's proximity. Redmond's proximity to Bend is actually relatively close. Close enough to get everything that you need to get done in Bend while also being able to continue your day in Redmond. Pro number 4 of living in Redmond in 2024. Okay, the sense of community that Redmond, Oregon really is. It represents something that otherwise Bend doesn't really have. Bend is more of a bustling town. It's growing at a very, very alarming pace. It is a hotbed, a mecca for tourism in the summertime. And so Bend feels very large, and it is fast paced, especially in the summer months. And Redmond will get some of that, it'll kind of run off and trickle into Redmond a little bit, but it's never at the same level. Some of the bigger events in Central Oregon, and in Oregon for that matter, are in Bend every single year. The Hayden Homes Amphitheater is right down on the river in Bend. It draws a lot of mainstream acts every single year. Artists from all over the world are coming to Bend now, and so that makes Bend feel like a bigger city. Especially with the concert series and the schedules that go on. There's 50 or 60 concerts every single summer down there, and it seems like every other night there's something crazy going on in Bend. There are tens of thousands of people that are visiting in Bend in the summer at any given moment, and so it makes Bend feel like a big city. And a lot of times we feel like we had a sense of community in Bend for a long time. It's kind of dwindling away right now and turning in. It's transitioning into a big city, whereas Redmond still has that sense of community, small town vibe, that culture, that personality. And that's what makes Redmond so unique, just being 15 miles to the north from Bend. Two different cultures, two different brands, but yet they're one and the same. But Redmond really does have that sense of community. You see a lot of the same people every single day, no matter what you're doing. People say hello to you on the streets. People are excited to see you in Redmond. Bend still has a little bit of that, but ultimately, like I talked about, it's becoming a big city. And with the fact that we get 4 million visitors in the Central Oregon region every single year, and a lot of those, the majority of them are in Bend, you're going to see people that you've never seen before. And there could be days where you go without seeing anybody that you actually know. Whereas in Redmond, you're probably going to see people that you know fairly often. And that's what makes it such a great feel, a tight-knit community in Redmond, not too big, 36,000 people, and yet still even sometimes feels smaller than 36,000 people, whereas Bend, 100,000 people, sometimes it feels like there's 500,000 people. So different vibes for sure, but the slow pace of Redmond gives that sense of community. It's pretty fantastic. It's a great spot and a great feel. Okay, pro number 5 of moving to and living in Redmond, Oregon in 2024, the weather. Okay. Now, the weather is absolutely fantastic in Redmond. We're a little bit lower in elevation, sitting at 3,000 feet versus Bend at 3,600 feet. So we're still going to get the same volume of sunshine, roughly 300 days a year, but it's a little warmer in Redmond. So say in the middle of the summertime, if it's 85 degrees in Bend, it might be 90 degrees in Redmond that day, and vice versa. So if it's 45 degrees in December in Bend, it might be 50 degrees or 52 degrees in Redmond in the winter time. So that bodes well for people that don't necessarily love bitter cold. And same applies with the snow, right? 500 to 600 feet difference in elevation means that Redmond is going to get significantly less snow than Bend. And so we've been talking about the snow, and a lot of times the snow takes a long time to really get here in the wintertime. We went through November and December this year and into mid-January before we really got a big snowstorm in Bend. Redmond got a similar style snowstorm, but it was significantly less than that of what happened in Bend. And typically the snow will melt off much quicker in Redmond, and you still get that bluebird sunshine, that pristine bluebird sunshine. The air is thinner up in Redmond and in Bend, in general Central Oregon, so it's not going to be as dense, not as humid, but ultimately the weather in Redmond is absolutely fantastic. Typically a little bit warmer than in Bend, but also a little bit warmer in the wintertime too. So that bodes well for people that don't necessarily love the winter that tends to drag on in Central Oregon each and every late winter and into early spring. So the weather in Redmond is definitely a pro. The sunshine is fantastic. The views are spectacular, especially on a bluebird day. Okay, pro number 6 of moving to and living in Redmond, Oregon in 2024. The job scene, the business scene, the entrepreneurial scene is getting stronger and stronger each and every year. One thing that makes Central Oregon very unique, including Redmond, is the fact there are so many people that end up wanting to move here, trying to figure out how to live here because of the outdoor recreational opportunities that Central Oregon in general has to offer. People try to figure out how to get here, make a living so they can enjoy what else is around them outside of work. Redmond has a bustling job scene, particularly in the industrial scene right now. The city of Redmond is very, very small business friendly and is certainly accommodating when anybody comes in and tries to bring an idea or a concept into the city. They try to work with that particular entrepreneur as best as possible to make sure that it's feasible to have them house their business in Redmond, sometimes instead of Bend. There's a little competition going on there. But ultimately speaking, Bend, Central Oregon, Redmond, Prineville, I mean, it's a melting pot of people trying to relocate here because of the fact that the Central Oregon area is on the map, not just regionally now, but nationally. And so it's Redmond, it's Bend. People realize that Central Oregon is where they want to be. It's just a matter of schematics. Where do I want to be in Central Oregon? Is it Redmond? Is it Bend? Is it Tumalo? Is it Sisters? Somewhere else? The reality is that there are so many people moving here right now They bring their ideas, they bring their concepts with them, and that helps bolster our economy. It helps build our culture. It helps us become more of what we weren't before. The fact that so many people are moving here in droves and bringing their ideas is what's making Central Oregon what it truly is. This fantastic community right now, whether you're pro-Bend, anti-Bend, or you're pro-Redmond, whatever it is you choose. Some people are kind of like draw a line in the sand type, I'm Redmond, no, I'm Bend. But the reality is there's so many people. We're all one tight-knit community here, and Redmond is no different than Bend. There are so many new business concepts, job opportunities that are in this area as a result of our innovation, our people that are moving here, bringing their ideas with them, and bolstering the economy and creating just a great area to not just live, but also work. All right, we made it to number 7, the final pro in this series of moving to and living in Redmond, Oregon in 2024. Redmond is kind of the central area of the Central Oregon region. It's kind of the hub. We have the airport in Redmond. We've got the fairgrounds in Redmond. It really is kind of the regional hub. That is one thing that Bend doesn't have, okay? The fairgrounds and or the airport, whether that's important to you, doesn't really matter, but they're there. And so a lot of people, those are very important things. The airport in proximity to Redmond versus Bend, it's in the city of Redmond. So it's about a 5 to 10 minute drive for anybody who needs to get on a plane on a regular basis. And we have a fantastic commercial airport. This commercial airport, Roberts Field, is right here in the, it's in the southeast part of Redmond, and there are 28 to 32 commercial flights, outbound flights every single day, as are inbound flights, and they are covering all over the region. They go from Seattle, we're getting Portland back, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, Burbank, Phoenix, Dallas, Fort Worth is in the works, Denver, Salt Lake. Is there anybody else I'm missing? Maybe. But the reality is those are very frequent flights to major hubs. Okay, so if you need to get anywhere outside of those actual hubs there that I just mentioned, obviously you know what they are. You can hop on another plane and be anywhere in the world within just one connecting flight from Redmond in the Bend area. And so that's what makes Bend and Redmond such a fantastic spot. Where we're at right now. We're on the other side of the Cascade Mountains. We're on the east side of the Cascades versus the majority of Oregon's population is going to be in the west, on the west side in the Willamette Valley. Years and years ago, 20, 30 years ago, our airport was still here, but they were, remember those old Horizon prop planes? We'd basically have like 2 or 3 of those a day that would either take you to Portland or Seattle. And so your entire day was basically based around maybe 1 or 2 flights going outbound in the morning to Portland or Seattle, or maybe a couple at night. But we have service throughout the entire day now. We have 737s that are coming in and out of our airport. And so the service is spectacular. It makes Bend feel a lot less of like an island. And yet we do feel like that sometimes from a geographical standpoint. We're on the other side of those Cascade Mountains. And if you're driving intrastate, it's going to take 2 or 3 hours to get anywhere if you're going to Eugene or Corvallis or Salem or Portland or wherever, Medford. But with the plane service that we have now, you can get anywhere on the West Coast within just an hour, maybe up to 2 hours. And that makes Bend a lot more accessible. Very interesting, as it does for Redmond. So the Bend and Redmond area is all kind of one and the same. Redmond has a lot of fantastic pros that otherwise Bend doesn't necessarily have. And it has a lot to do with more of a small town feel. But Bend and Redmond are basically one and the same. 2 different vibes, but they are fantastic communities comprising the Central Oregon area. So hopefully this video served you well today and makes you kind of want to do some more research on where in Central Oregon that you'd like to live. Maybe it's Bend, maybe it's Redmond, or maybe you're just looking into the Central Oregon area right now in comparison to like another mountain style town, maybe in Colorado or Utah or Montana. Who knows, really? You're considering moving somewhere like this. So it's not just Bend versus Redmond, but it can be the Central Oregon area versus Boulder. It can be Lake Tahoe or somewhere in Montana. Who knows, right? I mean, that's where Bend gets gets a lot of comparisons. That's where Redmond gets a lot of comparisons too. It's like, which mountain town should you move to if you're coming from somewhere far east or somewhere down south? But the reality is Bend and Redmond are fantastic areas, two different flavors, and hopefully this video serves you well in that capacity. So when it's your time to reach out, please do so. Call us, text us, email us, set up a Zoom. We have a website now, movingtobendoregon.com. Hop onto the website. You can create a Calendly link or create a meeting there that we would meet you on Zoom with, in addition to clicking on the link in the comment section or on the homepage of the YouTube channel here. So thank you guys so much for your support watching the channel. We really appreciate it. And as always, reach out when it's your time. We will see you on the next video.